Hello, happy Monday, everyone.
What's up,
Um,
guys?
yeah, here we are. Shortly after our Friday chat, and Otaku was live yesterday, showing off his haul. So yeah, I think we just wanted to talk about our experience at West Coast Comic Con. I'm still working on my video. Actually, I'm in the midst of editing it, so I have some footage. Just so you guys can see, have some firsthand experience of kind of what we're like experiencing there too. It's fun. It's fun sometimes to watch it back and maybe stuff you missed. In the whole there's a lot going on, a lot of people, and so on. But yeah, anymore. Has it sunk in kind of like more like the whole day from yesterday with you?
Well, it was exhausting, because we got up kind of early
Yeah.
and then we went up there and we pretty much just it was nonstop, just driving. We were getting hyped up in the car ride. We are just kind of like, yeah, this should be fun. And we kind of made set up a lot of sort of expectations in our head. I don't know what was your impression. You were new to this, so you have a
Yeah.
good first impression of the day.
Yeah, I mean, if we're so for me, it's technically my FanCon was my first in May was my first convention for comic books. Right, I've been to the retro gaming conventions and stuff like that, but comic books that was my first one. Then the second one where we were actually selling, and then now this one. I think the room is actually small. I think a room is smaller than FanCon, but there were a lot more people. Like I think the hall seems like, maybe looking back at the video, or maybe it was just the sheer amount of people. It just felt more cramped in than FanCon, but
Hmm.
it was
Hmm.
at least
I think
three,
the
four times as many
overall,
people,
yeah, I think you're right. Like this, in terms of space, they're roughly the same size,
or maybe the same. Yeah.
maybe the same, or I think FenCom. Yeah, that's a. I mean, they're around the same size. It's not that one's more like bigger than. But I mean, you could argue which one is bigger or smaller. But yeah, um,
Let's
space
say
wise,
similar
yeah,
enough. Similar enough. Yeah.
similar
But
enough. Yeah, you're right.
but it was
I think FenCom is a little bigger in terms of the actual floor space.
yeah.
Um,
But it
it's
was
definitely a better
definitely
facility. Like it has central air at FenCom. This place, man, it got. I don't know about you, but I was like sweating because just so many people were
it,
in
it was
attendance.
muggy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was muggy. It was packed, and yeah. Like, I mean, if whoever, I'll upload a video. I don't know, later tonight or tomorrow once I finish it. Then you can see for yourself. It's fun in a way because you have that excitement, but there were a lot more like bins to go through and stuff like that, and but it was really no time or really, like, you always felt rushed. There was like people bumping into you left and right, and um it's like yeah, there's way too much going on, and it just kind of like it just, there's a whole lot that is there to look at, but at the same time you're so overwhelmed that you're just like almost not seeing anything, right? um so that's why when I look at the footage right now, there's stuff like, hey, maybe, like, saw more of those Canadian price variants and stuff like that. Like, thinking back, maybe, should have picked up more of those, but but at the same time, I mean, there were also not really any enticing books or something like that, you know. So it's
Yeah, I think what was tough for us was you and I were both going in looking for like a big book, you know,
mhm,
something uh, where we put some like good money in to get the book, right?
yeah,
And I think that that exercise was tough because there's so many people, and you just kind of have to do like just a rough eye view because you know you're not gonna have a conversation with the person behind the counter because they're just busy manning their booth, right? So they're talking to the person they're they're servicing and all that, and you kind of have to wait there. So it was a lot of just kind of like walking to a booth and visually just seeing what they have and then kind of digging a little bit. But we must have walked around like 3 or 4 times. I mean, because we didn't even buy comics until like the afternoon. We spent a good
yeah,
3 hours just looking for
yeah,
stuff.
easily, yeah. It was crazy. Like, I mean, um, and that's what kind of like we're so exhausted. I mean, literally, like we were standing from 10:30 till they opened up. That was 11. We walked in, and there was no sitting. There was no sitting down. We didn't drink. We didn't eat. We didn't rest anywhere. We just basically entire time from 10:30 till what was it? It was at least 3:30 to 4 when we left. Right?
Yeah,
It
it
was
was around
close.
3:34, yeah, ish.
Yeah.
When we started saying,
So
let's get out of here. Yeah.
so the entire time we were just standing, walking around, trying to squeeze through, and I don't know. Like my mindset was like I wanted something big, or bigger because we sold some money for it, and I wasn't really in the mindset of like digging into dollar bins and stuff like that, because I wanted something more worthwhile to come out of this trip. And so I was really looking at the wall books and even like the slabs, even though um, I catch myself because I know certain books, if you know the book is like a $5 to $10 book, I do the grading myself. I have a hard time then if I can probably do the whole thing in one of my submissions and it's going to cost me like $40 or something like that, maybe 50 tops. I have a hard time just paying $100 for it, because I feel like if it's not something incredibly rare and I can find the book on any corner, touch it up, send it in, I'll just do it myself if I really want it. So those didn't really, it wasn't enticing to me. And then um, and there was a sticker shock. Like, okay, you do have to do the math in terms of like getting it from the Canadian to down to the US dollars so that you really know what you're paying for. But I was just watching back one of the clips. So one of the early vendors when we walk into the ride, he had a lot of Golden Age books, Silver Age books, and you inquired about the Batman 227, the Neil Adams cover, where Batman is
Yeah.
um, over
Classic
that
book.
that classic book where he's like the mansion in the back, and it's like an homage to Detective Comics 30 or something like that. So um, it was the guy said it was a 5.0 or 5.5. That we both looked at it. Probably 5 is probably pushing it. It was probably a
Yeah.
little bit less than that, and it
Yeah, it
was
was like VG almost. Yeah.
yeah. So and it was 950 Canadian. So if you do the math, that's about a little bit over $680, and that just felt a lot for it. I mean, it's a great cover. It's not something you run into at every corner, but it just like right off the bat, it just like because that was one of those things where in a 3.0 at a decent price or something like that, or even a 3.5 4.0, I would have like, yeah, I'll do this. This is one of those books. But right off the bat, like no, that didn't feel right. It just felt too high.
Yeah.
And that was like the pattern we saw with a lot of these vendors, you know. And
Yeah, it definitely was a situation where the vendors were. I said this last night upon returning from the event, and I said uh, it was different this time around. Um, because before what you had was people pricing them kind of like around market value, you know, like book value, and then you have people like doing like 50, even as going as far as like 50% off, right? Like 50% off almost book value. And at that point, like grade becomes less of an issue because as long as it presents, you know, really nicely, whatever, you're kind of like, you know, I know you probably would be like super Hawkeye, you know, like making sure it's a 9.8 candidate. Um, but you know, like a lot of the bargain bins and things they had in the like, they were just pricing it, and it was kind of overpriced and not to grade. So it you as a buyer, especially in like a chaotic environment like that, it's the worst kind of because you know you got to kind of ask to take the book out of the bag. Um, and I could tell right off the bat a lot of the books that I was like looking at going like, man, that's too much, even if it's a near mint.
mhm.
And then you have to go to the due diligence of like, okay, is it actually near mint? And then that becomes just exhaustive. And
Yeah,
so, yeah,
I think you said it best that yesterday, that you had to do a whole lot of negotiation just to get back to regular market prices. That was
yeah,
kind of like the impression that we were having.
yeah.
That
So you didn't want to like even like entertain a lot of the
Yeah.
books, you know? You're just kind of like, no, I'm not buying that. Not even asking about it because you have to get the guy's attention again, right?
mm,
And then make a deal on it, and then and then again, the guy who had the books I wanted, um, he was kind of he wasn't. I mean, last time he was a little bit more receptive to deal making. Like, yeah, I could do that, but this time around, I don't know what it was, but he kind of just was like, no, I can't do that. Like, I 75, that's the best. You know, like he was going kind of like resistant to like giving you what you want or a
mm,
deal. And yeah, that just kind of like that was the epitome of like the experience.
yeah,
Overpriced. People didn't seem like they wanted to move books. Um, what struck me was a lot of the vendors were like, we're flexible on price because they know that they've overpriced it, right? So they're like,
yeah,
we've overpriced it, so you talk us down. And that's the thing, like, uh, why would I talk you down to like book value? I just don't want to deal with it. Like it's overpriced. I just look at it as overpriced, and I
yeah,
won't try to talk you down because it's overpriced. Talking you down to like the book value doesn't do anybody any service here. So it just felt like we were walking around in circles. There wasn't anything we couldn't even like. There was nothing to like spend money on really. I
yeah,
ended up in the $2 bins just to, and even the $2 bins were kind of like, eh, you know, I could probably find this for a quarter down the road or something. You know, like that. There's better avenues than paying
yeah.
$2 Canadian, which is still cheap. It's not quite a dollar, but it's like right around a dollar.
Yeah, but if you think about it, if it's a literal dollar book, then you actually even overpaying for that, you know.
Right?
Um,
Yeah. And that's what
I
it
feel
was.
like,
A lot of dollar books in the $2 bin. So
yeah. So, and then like, I mean, kind of like for the viewers, like as an example, so you have a book that you know it's about 500, no, it's about 50 USD, right? So it's marked at 100 Canadian. Those were like lifetime examples we are saying. So 100 Canadian um, is about 72, $73, you know, in the conversion. So you're about 23, $22 above what the value of the book is, or like
Yeah.
what a regular value is, because it's not even that you can say like, oh my god, this is like the condition of a lifetime, I'm willing to overspend. No, that wasn't it. So you're gonna go into a negotiation just to settle on like whatever the equivalent is of $50 or maybe even $55 with the conversion, and it just doesn't feel good at the end of the day. You know, if you know it's a $50 book and somebody says like, I bought one book, and the reason being is it was marked at 60 Canadian, and I was already kind of like, because I did the conversion and I saw the sign, it's 25% off. So, and the guy was really nice. He's like, "What's that?" I said, "It's 45 Canadian." And the book's worth about 35 US dollars. So at 45, we were right around, sort of there, right? And he's like, without me saying it, he's like, let's do 35 Canadian. So that's $26. So I got a deal, and I
That's
paid
a
with
good deal.
card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was happy with that. But and I looked at the same booth. There was unfortunately nothing else that interests me, but that's not what you got from other people, right? And especially you had that experience. Um, like he was giving you like a quote unquote a deal, but he wouldn't even budge for the last 5 Canadian dollars, right? Because I know you wanted to pay 70. He was really stuck on 75. He tried a couple of times and like he wouldn't budge, right? And if you dissect it, it was after the conversion, it was a good deal, but even you felt kind of like, well, it was just okay, right? Like you really
Yeah.
just didn't
Yeah.
want to walk away without nothing.
Well, no, I told you going in, like the whole where we're gonna kind of double the value on this was, first off, we have the Canadian discount. That is there. So if we just get books to like book value in Canadian dollars, like US book value in Canadian dollars, um, with the conversion rate, we're getting quite a steep discount. You know, like if let's say, that like you mentioned, that Web of Spider-Man, right? That's like a 25, $30, $25 book raw, right? In high grade. Um, and so like imagine if he had offered you that for like 25 Canadian dollars, right? Like then you add the exchange rate discount, and now you've got like
Yeah.
a smoking deal on that book, right? And that's kind of like what I was experiencing 2 years ago, right? It was like they were just going below, kind of like you could talk them down below book value in Canadian dollars. And then with the discount, with the exchange rate, you're getting that additional discount. And so that's where I was picking up a lot of value last time. This time around, everything was just overvalued, overpriced. And now you're talking them down to uh like book value for
Mm-hmm.
US book value, and then the Canadian discount. And you're getting maybe a little, you're kind of paying maybe a little under book, but it's nowhere near the potential discounts you could have gotten, right? So yeah, that was the biggest disappointment, and it just lingered because we had built up this whole, I kind of and I feel bad because I talked it up to you like, oh, we're gonna get all these like great deals, and we're gonna be able to like get those keys, those like big keys that you were looking for, and I had a bunch of things on my wish list. And again, nothing on my wish list was there except again the books I kind of picked up reluctantly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only like really two books there that I kind of checked. Oh, well, actually, one book, just one book that was on my wish list, and that was that Lois Lane book. Everything
Yeah.
else was kind of like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I think I'll pick it up. Kind of, like just kind of reluctant. I gotta spend money. I gotta do something.
Yeah.
But if it weren't for that shop in Bellingham,
Bellingham.
uh,
Yeah.
it, it would have been a
Sh-
worse like experience, but that Bellingham kind of salvaged it there at the end. At least
yeah.
for me. I don't know about you, but for me it did.
Shout out to Comics Place in Bellingham. That place is that place is the real deal. People are awesome.
Oh, that
Um,
guy was just incredible. The guy working
yeah,
there, he yeah, he was just yeah, they got he's a good employee basically.
yeah,
I know he even had like a family emergency come up and then he was still working
yeah.
with us and helping us. So shout
It
out to
was
that guy.
it was 20 minutes before closing, and
Yeah.
he went into the basement, and he
Brought out a
put together a
short box of
short
stuff.
box for Otaku, just with like
I didn't get anything out of there either. I felt bad. I was just like,
I mean, there were really reader copies, and he knew
yeah,
it. But like, I mean, he went and he put it together, and there was like Superman 20 centers and stuff like that. I mean, they were really rough, and he told us that before he went. But like, usually, like, I mean, in a regular store, it's like, dude, we're about to close. I'm not gonna go shuffle through comic books or something like that. Not that guy. He was really cool. They have like the higher price stuff on the back, and I went through each and every single box, and I felt bad. I'm like, I'm sorry, and he's like,
yeah,
what for?
yeah,
You want to see the next one? I'm like, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, that guy was for real. So that's
That guy,
awesome.
that guy was cool too. He kind of was chatting it up with us, and um, we told him about our experience coming from Vancouver, and he just was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool."
Yeah,
But yeah, overall, I don't want to say it was like a negative experience because it is what it is. You know, it's like you can't. There's certain things you can't control, and um, part of that is vendor pricing. Right? All you can do is like, I'm not going to buy from you because your stuff is overpriced. But everybody there had the same idea. You know,
yeah.
not
I'm
one
just
person was like, I'm pricing my stuff like aggressively so that you will buy it, right? There was not one person where I felt like, man, this guy has the best prices. No, there was nobody like that. They were all kind of in cahoots with each other. Like we're all gonna just, like and force people to buy at elevated prices.
yeah,
Maybe there is something to this whole trade thing, the trade uh I don't want to call it trade war, but the whole trade dispute, where I don't know, maybe now buyers are being like, well, they're starting to realize, hey, you know what, the the pricing for these collectibles in the biggest collectible market for comic books, the U.S. is set at U.S. prices. So why are we pricing it at Canadian prices? And maybe this kind of dawned on the selling community there. Like we're under, maybe it was my video, maybe they're watching my video and being like, you know what, that guy took advantage of us. But whatever the reason, there was sort of this flip, like we we're gonna set Canadian prices. That's what it felt like we're gonna set everything at Canadian elevated prices, and then talk, and then so that discount is no longer there at that point, right? It's just like you're
yeah.
getting it at book value pretty much. That's what it felt like. Hey
Hey,
Gordon, what's
Gordon.
up?
Uh, okay. Well, I don't know about the trade war. So, I mean, when I lived there in 2023 for short, I mean, lived there on and off for work. I went through some gaming stores, and I had a massive sticker shock. Even with doing the exchange, the prices were ridiculous. Um,
Interesting.
yeah. So I had sticker shock from the get go. That's why um I was kind of looking. I mean, I, I was curious to see that, like, if vendors doing it for a convention, like maybe they change it up, because some of those stores were were on the sponsor list for that show. Um, I'm not sure. There was a few retro vendors, but I wasn't sure if they were from that show, or if the stores just like donated some money or something like that. And Yeah, so I was kind of, I don't know if you saw me. I even looked through some Super Nintendo games, and it was the same thing. They were priced fairly high from what I remember. From
Yeah,
the
yeah.
prices I remember when I was collecting. Um, yeah, it
They
was.
did have the book. I was just to answer your question, Gordon. Um, you know me, I was just looking for anything. Like they had Golden Age Superman books, but again, I had about $120 cash budget. I did bring up books to trade, but um, it seemed like everybody wasn't in like it wasn't like a place where people wanted to trade for books. It's like they were trying to sell and make money. So and again, it was so busy. It's not like you could just go up to the guy and be like, "Hey, you look at these books, and you know, would you be open to trading?" But again, there was nobody there with stuff I wanted. So if you want to trade, if I'm gonna trade for stuff that I don't want, like, what's the point of that, right? So that was the main issue, is like just finding something that was worthwhile, like picking up.
Yeah.
Um, and
So
you and I both ended up coming out with like minimal stuff. Like I spent what 70, 81 Canadian dollars, which is roughly like 59 US. So 59 US. I guess I that again, it's not a lot, but it felt forced on my end. Like I felt like I was just forcing a purchase
you you
just
didn't
to
want to leave empty-handed, basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gordon really wants to know what you picked up, so why don't we get into that? You want to like get your
Yeah.
stuff out and yeah.
What I picked up from there. And yeah, I was saying earlier, I have a video so you can kind of see for yourself. So as I was saying before, so I was looking for like Secret Wars 8. That there was one. It was 400 Canadian, which is like 290 or something like that. And I couldn't tell you that. Like I got somewhat close. It was very crowded. I don't think, like, if I pay up, it's got to be a really high grade copy, right? And it didn't feel like that. Um, so the only book that I picked up there was, and it's a book I have already, but it fell. The thing why I got it is, okay. So it's Web of Spider-Man #1. It's it's the Canadian price variant. So it's not just the newsstand. I mean, I guess the Canadian price variant is always the newsstand or something. I don't know. It's the first one I own. So and that appears to, because my copy is the newsstand copy as well. Um, but the Canadian price variant seems to be even rarer than the regular newsstand.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And since the guy gave me a good deal, I figured I picked that up. Some of the other ones, like there was one I was like talking about earlier. There was X Factor #6, I think it is, the one with the was it 24? I forgot which one it is. Is it with the apocalypse hat on the cover? That was a
First
hundred
appearance of
Canadian.
Apocalypse, yeah.
Yeah, that was 100 Canadian. I was like, what the heck? And when I watched the clip back, so it's the Canadian price variant, and that one is like the rarest copy of the three. And 100 is still kind of like 100 Canadian, which is like $72, $73. It's still kind of pushing it, but it's like closer to what it's worth than what I thought. I thought they're like $100. They lost their mind, right?
Yeah.
But Canadian
What
price
was the
variant, I
grade
guess.
though? Did you see the grade? Was it high
Um,
grade? Because if you're
it
paying
was,
$100 Canadian for an 8.5 copy,
yeah, that's the
you're
other thing.
overpaying. You're overpaying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one is very, very, like, I even ask you, like, because I was looking up the grade. So if it's a 9092 and I get it graded, it's worth about $150. So, and this one actually looks cleaner than my copy. So yeah, I think for funsies, I'm just gonna grade them both and see which one comes out better. Um, Yeah, but that's pretty much all I picked up. And so there was one more thing where I asked for. So when we talked about what we wanted, so there's the Marvel Premiere 28, 27, and 28 is the one with the monster cover with like Ghost Rider, Man Thing,
That one,
and
yeah, that I was encouraging you to get that. That's a good one. That's a good
yeah.
one. It's a good spec book to get, and it's also very just a very cool concept, right?
So they had it for 300 Canadian, and it was in I don't know, it was like a 7-0 maybe. But what really threw it off for me was there was a marker by the price, like somebody just checked off with a Sharpie, and that was just a no go for me. And actually, I found the same book at Comics Place in Bellingham, um, which I
Also
think they
had
had it.
something on it, right?
It was definitely cleaner, right? And the I think they wanted 120, but I think the grade was better than what they had at the con. Um, I just left it just because at 120 for an 8-0, I don't know. It was just kind of like, to me, a little bit lopsided, right? And I think they do go down with the prices a little bit, but the book has to be sitting there for a few weeks or so, because they worked with you a little bit on one of your books, but the other two that I asked for, they weren't budging, and so that's why I left it this time.
Mm.
Marvel H12. I saw one copy. I was trying to remember. It was over 100 Canadian. It was 125 or 175. It was some weird number like that, and I didn't
Who
even
had
look at
it?
it.
Who had it?
Uh, God, it was one of the vendors. I just remember which one it
Was it in
was.
the back wall?
I think it was in the back wall, because that guy had like his personal collection or something like that. He had a lot of graded books there, and I think it was that guy.
That
Um,
I wish I had spent more time there. But again, I looked at the wall books. There was nothing on the wall that interested me, but I wish I had dug more because they kind of had priced out stuff,
yeah,
and it looked like they were open to deals. The guys there were like, "Oh yeah,
because
give
I
me,"
don't think it was a
like they were,
store.
yeah.
It's I think it's the guy's collection. He even said, like, if you're looking for anything else, because I asked him for signed books, and he said, are you ever on Craigslist? Look for signed books, and if you see, I have like 90 signed books on there. I'm like, okay. So I hadn't checked yet because it's in Canada. So I mean, I'm not like, for one book, I'm not just gonna drive over there.
Yeah,
But I
and
mean,
you
if
don't
they
want to do
you have,
eBay Canada, more to
yeah.
tear a few to
So
death.
yeah, it was the other thing for convention, what could be cool, or is kind of cool, we just didn't find enough of it. If you remember, there was one little stand that had like really old Neil Adams, like one ash can, and something else, something that was like, they were they were very uncommon, right? And he wasn't like super. I mean, it was just nothing that we kind of say like, oh, we had to have or something like that. If any of those would have been signed, that would have been gold, right? Because um, they were so uncommon. It was one ash can, and another comic book that was maybe an underground one or something. Nothing mainstream, right? That stuff I like. It was
In hindsight, there's a bunch of books I wanted to go back. Like I wish I had picked up. There are a bunch. I mean, you and I talked about a few of them. I'm starting to realize now that that book you and I have both looked at, the X-Men Neil Adams signature.
mhm.
I know you didn't like it because it had writing on it. Like someone had marked like 10 on
Yeah.
it or something, and it was on the cover. Which is annoying, right? Like it's like somebody writing on the book. But that signature was very like very well placed, very clean signature, um, on a really like key book. That's a key book. That's probably like Neil's uh, best cover from the X-Men run, because it's the one with Magneto and the X-Men there. So
It,
that one at 95 Canadian felt like it was a fair price. And
yeah, because of
if
the
you came
signature.
down to, let's say you came down to like 75, or came down to like 85, with the exchange rate, that actually ends up being a pretty good, like close to $50 for what is essentially like, you know, late or like mid Bronze Age Marvel key with Neil's
Wasn't a key.
signature. Yeah.
That's the only thing. Like, it wasn't a key. That's
Oh, it wasn't a key?
no. That was the only thing where I said like I don't know. And then the condition was like, I think it was about a 6.5 to a 7.0. Um, yeah, if it had some kind of key significance, then I would have probably also looked at it. But
It's not a key, but it is a key in the sense that it's a Neil
he didn't
Adams
do it.
book.
He didn't do a lot of. He didn't do a lot of X-Men stuff, and that's what
Okay.
makes it rare, right?
Yeah. That's what I think makes it a little valuable, because it's
Yeah.
like his era of X-Men. It, you know, I'm looking for it right
Yeah.
now.
Gordon, sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I didn't know the exact grade of it. It looked highish. It was really far away, and I don't know. For me, that was a little bit higher than I was comfortable with. So, what do I say? Let's say it was one. It was on the lower for 125. So then that's close to like $90 or something like that. Um, what's it going for right now? Uh,
So you're right. It is not a key. That one in a high grade is 125.
yeah.
X-Men 63. Um,
That was right. That was one of the last ones before they stopped putting new stories out, right?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. This was like reprints and stuff like that. So you're absolutely right. It was like a
this was still
reprint.
a good story, and I think after 66 or 67 is when they started with the reprints till 94.
Oh, so it is an
Um,
original story. You're right. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't collect X-Men, so it was like, but at the same time, it's a Neil Adams signature. It's a Bronze Age X-Men book. I guess you could talk yourself into like that. Yeah, for 95 Canadian, it might have been worth pulling the trigger. But you and I both, again, just great pricing to grade, and just think like we just didn't think it was like, it's kind of borderline. We're kind of paying for what it is at the end of the day, right? It was kind of a borderline no.
I, I, the thing was, I feel like the whole thing kind of like when your energy kind of goes down, that's when you're like, ugh. You kind of, we kind of had one of those, because if you're more excited about something, you just like pick up stuff. Like last week when we picked up all the signature books. I mean, I picked up stuff that I probably didn't even want, but we are like excited, right? We are like in for it,
It
and
was forcing us. The prices were forcing us to like, no,
yeah,
we
it's
gotta
like,
get pick this up. We're never gonna
I'm
get
not gonna
deals
leave a
like this
signed
again.
book
Yeah,
here for $5. No,
yeah,
let's take it, right?
yeah. It was
Um,
ridiculous. Yeah.
and this was the exact opposite. So we probably started like skipping books that, like in this case, we should have probably picked it up, because of what it is. Yeah, it's not a key, but it's a Neil Adams. It's a Neil Adams work on X-Men, which I don't know how many he did, but it could be that many. Um, and you're
That
right.
I
I
think
mean, you
that's
could
one
have.
of those signatures though, the X-Men, his run on X-Men. You have so many X-Men fans. I bet there's multiple copies of all of his X-Men books. You know what I mean? Like you just the odds are a bunch of X-Men fans are going to take that copy to get it signed by Neil. So it's I don't think it's all that rare. But it's also just a really cool book to have
True.
because again, X-Men Neil was so present in DC for him to have Marvel stuff that's signed, and again, that X-Men era is pretty. It's before it got going, but you go back and look at those classic covers that Neil did; they're all fantastic. So, yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Gordon. Yeah. It was a raw book in the Marvel H12 was a raw book. I don't think raw books are that high. I think I just looked it up. I think in that grade you could probably pick it up still for 46 between 40 and $60 on eBay. That's why I was kind of turned off that it was like close to $100. Yeah, graded ones go for quite those weren't graded. So that's why I kind of like when I saw the
what
anything
was the
over
grade on
$100.
Marvel Age? Do you think?
It was far away. My eyes are not what they used to, but I would say like it was uh, hard to
It was
say. I mean,
priced to a point where you didn't even feel like asking. It sounds like
exactly.
right? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
So was probably between 9.2 and 9.6, something like that, if I had to guess, right? But if that's in the raw already this high, I don't know, just wasn't my thing. So
I gotta agree with Gordon though. Like if it was in a 929, like you say, or 9294, 100 Canadian, and maybe it was even the Canadian price variant. Imagine if it was a Canadian price variant that was there.
doesn't say that there is one, but maybe I mean,
No, there
you know,
has to be. It's
key
from that
collector's
era.
not key collector's not always right. Yeah, I think you're right. So I mean,
Yeah.
if that was the case, then I probably shit the bed on that one. But
Well,
yeah,
you'll have another opportunity someday.
it was just like once it goes. So here's my train of thought, right? So if it goes over 100 or like it was like in that 100 range, to me feels like $100. It's $100 taken away from an actual Secret Wars 8 that I could be spending on. Um, yeah, yeah, that's kind of like my train of thought. That's why I wasn't too hot on the Marvel Age, because the cover is the same, is this essentially the same cover as Secret Wars #1, which I have, and that's why Marvel Age 12 getting it graded. Then I'm basically just looking at the same cover as Secret Wars #1. Um, yeah,
No,
and
I,
and
I think you made a good decision passing on it because, like, you're right. Like, um, you'll have opportunities to pick that book up.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that would have probably, what we should have. Um, sorry, my dog having a cough attack. That maybe should have been one of the things we should have be more informed about. What are the best Canadian price variants to look for? I think we would have been better off doing that, because then we can say like, okay, this is not something we come across all the time, and then maybe pricing and be ready for those prices. That might have been better, but like we had kind of like our thing, because somehow like our hunting is now going to slow down, unfortunately. So we wanted to really like hit it in with a giant come home with something like, yeah, this is our price for the summer, and that didn't happen. I think that had us a little bit bumped out.
Yeah, it didn't happen for me, but I'm surprised. I'm surprised because they did have a lot of the key books that you're looking for. You know, um, especially some of the graded books, like um, they had a lot of graded books in that. Again, you were looking kind of for sort of those like forever Marvel keys. Um, but yeah, again, the pricing I think impacted everything. Our whole decision making process there. Like
Yeah,
I felt like there was nothing there that even for me personally, like there was nothing there that I didn't even want to trade for books. Like it was just like one of those things. Like, man, there's nothing here to even like offer a trade for. Like, what am I going to
yeah.
offer a trade for? Just like $2 bin books or like overpriced keys? Like, no. So it was just one of those like disappointing. Because I had it built it up. I had, you know me, like I was just like talking about it all summer. Like Canadian discount, we're gonna go there. We're gonna get a big book. Our Unmyung books are there waiting for us. We're gonna come down. We're gonna just like, this is what like 50 bucks. You know, we've spent $100, 50 bucks, something crazy like that. But uh, none of that transpired.
We got, you know what? We'll just focus on the positive. We got to hang out. We got to look at comic books. We spent the day looking for comic books. We had a good time.
We did have a good
Um,
time. I actually everything prior to the con, just hanging out with you, going driving up there. We kind of got breakfast. We had a nice little kind of
Food
charge
was
me
good
up.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, the tater tots, those are really good. That was great. Everything was good. You know, even we didn't even wait that long in line. We kind of got in line just at the perfect time as it was starting to kind of build itself out.
Yeah, within 10
Yeah.
minutes, like you pointed out to me because I was just kind of like staring, like, because I wanted to get in, right? And then you like, have you seen the line? And I looked down and it's like, holy crap, because we're like, we were just a few minutes ago, we were at the butt of the line, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, like, it's like
It's like
down the
around
street,
the
is
block. Yeah, it's like a
around the
lot of people
block. Yeah,
came. A lot of people came. It was like kids came, like everybody came dressed up. It was like they had a cosplay thing they're doing. Um and a lot of there were a lot of kids there, like just like young people, you know, like young collectors. That's good to see.
yeah,
Because generally like old people like you and me walking around like, all right, you know, like, oh, I remember that book and stuff like that. But these the
back in the
kids,
day in
yeah,
1952, this was 10 cents. Yeah,
right? Like, the kids were actually like, I saw a bunch of people like picking up books, and they weren't even negotiating price; they were just buying it. So I think maybe that had something to do with the pricing. You have a
yeah,
bunch of kids who like they don't know the understand the nuance of the pricing. They just like, hey, it's $3, I'll buy it. You know, it's like it's
yeah.
within their price range, so they're getting it. So that's I think what was happening with some of the pricing there.
What I thought what they did was cool was every hour they were doing a raffle. They were giving away something. I think the first thing was the best one because the guy got like uh, I
Like a
think there
set
was
of
a
books or
specific
something.
no,
Yeah.
a specific stand. I think he could go like and spend money like a certain amount or something like that. That was the best one. And the second hour, like they were giving up like a because there was like people promoting their written like not comic books. They were like actual books, and I think they were giving a set of those away. So,
Yeah.
I mean, just the sheer fact that they did that, I thought was really cool. So you had like I threw mine out already, but it was like you get the stamp, and then you have the actual card stop, and then there's a number on there, and then so they were raffling that, and yeah, I think that was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Uh, we could have spent more money, but at the same time, maybe we weren't meant to be. And we found a new cool comic book shop in Bellingham that it's definitely worth going back. They're having, I think, what you sent me on Facebook last week about like a mini convention. That's them actually. What's happening this Saturday?
Is that
Um,
them?
that is them. Yes. They're doing that in Bellingham this Saturday. So they have like this. It's like they're doing something
I thought that was
inside the
in
city center
Bellevue.
or something like that. Am I confusing the two now? I thought.
The one I sent you was a Bellevue event, and Stephanie, I think her name's Stephanie Williams, who's nominated for She's a woman of color nominated for the Eisner Award for her comic book, and she's I think the artist writer for that book. Um, and she's going to be at that event. So I don't know.
No, that's that one. Yeah, she's gonna be.
Is
That's Bellingham, not Bellevue.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
Bellingham, not Bellevue?
yeah. Hmm. And
Wow,
that's
they
that,
got
that
like a really bona
Stephanie
fide
Williams. Yeah,
comic book star to
yeah.
headline that. That's
Special
pretty cool.
guest Stephanie Williams of Wonder Woman and Roots of Madness, Leah Williams of Power Girl and Voyeur X Factor, Cat Ferris, My Boyfriend is a Bear. Okay, I don't know that one.
Wow,
Mark
yeah,
Russell,
good for them.
Superman, Not All Robots, Flintstones, also featuring Ron Chan, Zach Davison, Bryce Ingman, and more. So,
Wow.
yeah, that's happening this Saturday. Pacific Nerdwest, love the name. So it's like a pop culture event, and it's downtown Bellingham. So that's the same store we went to.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that would be cool to go back up and attend that. That sounds like a fun event. Um, I mean, they have tables available too, right? So,
I think we're a little late in the game to be selling there, but
well, I mean, yeah, I don't know
yeah,
if I'll be able to, you know, get away for that one, but something to
no,
keep in
not
mind. Yeah,
yeah, no, not this Saturday. No, I would say like if we ever feel like it, we can map something out to drive back up to at least Bellingham. I mean, I don't know if it's worthwhile to actually go across the border and do like a comic hunt in British Columbia. Um, I mean, why not? One of these days, it might be worthwhile. Who knows? Um, but like it would, one day would be worth going back to Comics Place in Bellingham because it seems pretty cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
we could do a whole Vancouver comic book run. Just going to local shops up there in the downtown area because there's a bunch of like shops in the same vicinity. So
mhm,
kind of doing what we did in Portland, right? Just hitting up, like rooting it out to where we hit up some shops in Vancouver, come down, back down to Bellingham, hit up the Bellingham shop, and then come down.
yeah,
That's definitely within the realm of possibilities for next time, for sure.
yeah. Except parking is even worse than Portland. So I remember that very vividly. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's. I mean, why not, right? We can definitely do something like that. But yeah, but we're not going to be out every Saturday going forward.
Yeah.
Um, it's a bit of a bummer, but obviously your family's coming back, so you're gonna have things to do. Um,
Yeah. This tonight marks sort of the end of summer of Supergirl. I feel like we have to get Supergirl here, so I'm gonna just show off one of my Supergirl books. I'm gonna look for it real quick, but show off your other book that you got.
yeah, yeah. I was just saying, Gordon. I had a dream a few months ago. It was too late to get William Shatner's signature on Star Trek #1. Oh, do you have Star Trek #1? Some of those old Dell keys.
I don't. I used to have Star Trek. One of the photo covers from Star Trek. It was just really beat up. I ended up like trading it or giving it to somebody. Don't
I
call
like
it
the
that.
show. I like the movies. I just when I see the comics, I the only thing I know is the only thing that collectors really look for are the photo covers with Leonard Nimoy on the cover. Those are the only ones that are really hot. The rest I just like always flip through. Like I just kind of pass them by.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Look
William
out.
Shatner was here for SummerCon a couple of years, like I think last summer, and apparently he was the most popular signature at SummerCon, just because there's this, he's what 90, he's like in his 90s
Yeah,
now.
it's kind of
Uh,
morbid, but yeah, he's getting up there in age, so that's kind of like
and yeah, and
what
just people, and again, he was kind of there, just being Captain Kirk, his self, and fans. I mean, come on, it doesn't whether you're a Star Trek fan or not. He's one of those people like everybody knows. He's just like, it's kind of like Mark Hamill or something. Just somebody who's just like everybody knows who they are. And yeah, he was charging something like $50 a signature, and like people just like, yeah, like bought up for that. So there's like a huge line trying to get William Shatner's signature. He has cancer. Yeah, he and his daughter right now are like, I think, struggling with that. I saw that.
that sucks.
We're wishing them both the best. Hopefully,
Yeah,
it's something that can. At 90, I feel like cancer is like that's a hard thing to
yeah.
beat back. You know.
I mean, I've even before, like in his late, like whenever seen him, like in his 80s, like I mean, I wish once I hit that age that I'm still that spry and full of energy. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because
Quite
not
remarkable.
not everybody
He's
ages the
pretty much
same. So
outlived the entire cast, minus like Chekhov, right? Like Chekhov and he are the only two
George Takei,
remaining. George Takei too. Yeah, George Takei too. Keep
yeah,
forgetting
yeah,
he's up there as well. But yeah, there's only a few of them left now, and
yeah,
it's getting it's twilight for that original Star Trek cast, unfortunately.
yeah. But that's something I don't know how you, Gordon. I don't know how you feel about graded books, but like for something like that, I would look for CGC to have maybe some signing events or something like that. I know they had in the like once in a while. I know they recently had like the X File cast. I know they had some of the Star Trek people there, like Michael Dorn. I think they even had George Takei and a couple other ones from like I think Next Gen or Voyager. So if you want to get your Gold Key Star Trek #1 signed, I would keep an eye out on that. Yeah, it's gonna be more than $50 probably for the signature, but they also grade it right away or something like that. It's probably worthwhile if you can make
Oh
it to
yeah,
the next convention.
I'm regretting not having gone to SummerCon and gotten his signature, because I just feel like like Star Trek's a big enough cultural phenomenon. I don't think it's going to really necessarily go anywhere, because who doesn't want to be on a starship traveling around space? That will never get old, and it just become more relevant as we're actually going into space and doing things there, right? So, um,
Yeah,
yeah, uh, that's cool. But yeah, back to ending the summer of Supergirl. I just got to be like, uh, she came and she
that's
went. It was
that's
a
our girl.
fun
That's our girl
summer.
Helen Slater.
Um, there's Helen.
Yeah,
She looks so lovely there. Um, yeah, thoughts on the summer? Your most, I guess, the best memory from this summer. What for you stood out? Either pickup or just us doing stuff.
yeah. I mean, Supergirl was like the first movie I've seen in theaters in a quite a long time. So and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I said it
I
plenty of
Yeah, that
times.
that ends. We're always gonna have that. I think because we came out of that so excited, like just like, man, this is a good movie, and you and I still stand by the fact that it's entertaining. It was a good movie. All the sort of the things that prevented the movie from being successful, really, I think were had nothing to do with the movie itself, but just uh, they're just some certain forces, negative forces on social media that just want to see things fail.
A lot of
So
negative
there was
press. Yeah,
that, and then there was also the fact that you know the economics of going to the movies these days. I could just see a lot of people like probably wanting to see it, but they just economically like didn't have the resources, maybe, right? So they're just waiting
Yeah.
to watch it illegally or something. They're just not going to spend money. Um, but then when something like Spider-Man comes around, that's kind of what you wait for, right? You like okay, this is where I'll plot my like summer movie budget. And so people
Yeah.
have to make those kinds of like little calculations, but it seems like a lot of people were willing to forego Supergirl to watch like the bigger ones like Odyssey and Spider-Man. So
Well, I mean, you could say like, people can go ahead and say, there's certain things they might not like about Spider-Man, but I don't think Spider-Man had to deal with that negativity ahead of time. There's always people like, oh, I didn't like the last one or something like that. Even though I think that whole Tom Holland arc is very very well done, and I think for me he's my favorite Spider-Man now. Um, but Supergirl dealt with that whole negativity from people that hadn't even seen it. Like they're, oh, I don't like her, I don't like what they're telling and stuff like that. So it just it wasn't given a real chance, and that's just a bummer.
yeah,
Also, I think they spent, like, when you look at the projection, they spent like more than what they made on the movie on marketing, right? Which I think is like some kind of formula. You have to spend 150 million on marketing or whatever. I don't know. I think they should have done a better way of, when you market that movie. Yes, it's kind of Woman of Tomorrow, but we are telling it slightly different, or we're
yeah,
bringing Supergirl into her own character. Like,
yeah,
Woman of Tomorrow is an established Supergirl character with amazing story by Tom King, right? No doubt about it. But they had to tell it slightly differently, and I think that's where marketing maybe dropped the ball a little bit, because if people go in there, some are like, "Ugh, I don't want to see," they already said it's a bad Supergirl movie or whatever, female superheroes and blah blah blah, whatever nonsense they were saying. And then you had the other ones. They're like, okay, I want to see a complete movie depiction of this book that I love, which is not possible to do, really, right? Um, that was the other fail, and that to me is like maybe where marketing kind of dropped the ball on presenting it wrong out there, or kind of like
yeah.
getting ahead of the message, getting ahead of
No,
that,
that
and
that
putting the
that
right expectation.
I agree with that take because it seemed like the way it wasn't like a straight up adaptation of the book, right? They just took the 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 story element of it, right? Outside of the story element, they didn't do anything closely related to the book.
Hmm.
Uh, like even Ruthie's family, right? Like Ruthie comes from this huge, like a big family, right? Whereas the people in this movie were it was just her brother who gets killed. Her whole family, she's the only remaining survivor of the family, outside of I think some uncles or something. But
They gave her the
yeah, the
Disney
whole
treatment and killed the whole family.
yeah, yeah. I was telling you like first off, you're absolutely right. They got the mistake was that they mentioned the book. Like this is we're using Woman of Tomorrow as the backdrop for this movie, right? So people are like automatically the fans of Supergirl, the actual people who care about the character and understand who the character is. They're like excited. Now you set an expectation like they're bringing Woman of Tomorrow to the live action, right?
Hmm.
Some version of it that, and then I think when they did the movie, it was nothing like Woman of Tomorrow, and it was actually very depressing. I was telling you, like, it's a dark, depressing movie, and it
Yeah.
doesn't lighten up anywhere along its. path. It kind of lightens up at the end when they escape everything, but up until that final moment, it just was like a lot of tension, a lot of just kind of like you see why she's a broken character. Just she has this very sad, depressing backstory. There's nothing kind of like, oh, gung ho, like, oh, we've overcome it. It just remains kind of flat. There's a lot of action, but it just kind of remains flat, and you're processing her trauma
Hmm.
with who she is, and you don't even know the character that well. So as a regular going, like, non-comic book collecting, non-comic book world knowing, layperson who goes to see Supergirl, you're gonna come out of it like confused and like, man, that was depressing and kind of like, and so that I think, yeah, he had a lot of things working against it. Part of it was, I think, a little bit of the, like you said, maybe it's marketing or just vision for what that movie, who the target audience was supposed to be, because you kind of just tried to like please everybody and ended up pleasing nobody. Um, and
Well, you had her. So one thing that contradicts a little bit what the story is to her earlier cameo, and so in the book Woman of Tomorrow, wherever she goes on a journey with Ruthie or whatever her name is, and wherever they go, she's known. Oh, it's Supergirl. It's Supergirl. Oh, this is this girl from Krypton and whatever. In the movie, nobody knows her because she hasn't been Supergirl. She's becoming Supergirl. What contradicts that is that when they showed her in the Superman movie, she walks around in her cape and her outfit because you had this quick of a second to introduce a character and people needed to connect that, right? And if she walks in there with a coat and no Supergirl outfit, then people are like, well, who the hell is that? Oh, it's my cousin Kara. And that's also just going to connect with maybe 20%, 25% of the people like that put together like, oh, Kara is Supergirl, and so they had to do that. But it kind of contradicts because in the movie she doesn't want to put it on, right? She doesn't want to be reminded of Krypton and the sign and everything. So it becomes this whole arc of her becoming Supergirl, right?
yeah,
And that's different from the book as well. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. It just could. I think the movie really nicely um, portrays Supergirl, the dilemma she's having coming to Earth. Again, she's coming to a new place, foreign place. Her only real connection to this place is her cousin, who is completely like just Earth. He's just like a Earth bound person from his identity. He doesn't really he doesn't understand Krypton, right? Krypton is foreign to him. He's just trying to piece together his history and backstory, and she probably helps him with that. But um, she probably doesn't feel like he understands her situation. And here he is, like, being the beloved hero, and she's just there kind of by association to follow suit, right? Like, I'm the female version of, because I have the same powers, right? But it's not a role she's comfortable with, and she's kind of doesn't want to do it, right? She goes off world drinking rather than trying to help her cousin out. So um that was all brilliantly done, that portion. But again, for someone who doesn't care about Superman or care about Supergirl, that I think that's a big obstacle to, like, you got to make people care about these characters. And um I think that might have been a challenge when you're making a sort of a space odyssey or space adventure, making it really dark and broody, and then adding all these like really well, I don't want to say controversial, but really kind of disturbing, the fact that the bad guys are trafficking young girls, and there's just a lot there to process that if you're going into just to be entertained, like, you kind of came out and be like, what did I just see? It's kind of like, it's depressing. I'm having to process what I just saw, and you're not going to go watch it again to understand all the little nuance. So it's a lot of the character development stuff, I think, is just going over people's head outside of, oh, she was the last survivor of her race. That's the only thing you kind of walk away with.
I'm gonna slam marketing one more time because when you watch the movie, and we talked about it also before, probably repeating ourselves. Um, so Crypto is her last real connection to her planet. Is the last living thing from her planet. Is the real thing that is left of the only thing that she has left of what is gone, right? But then you put
Not
it
only
in the
that, she loses her mother. So she loses her mother,
right,
and she's an
at the
orphan. And now suddenly this thing that kind of maybe reminded her of her mother, like he comes to her on the day that she loses her mother, right? So here's this pet, and now she's a mother. She literally goes from like losing her mother to becoming a mother with this new
yeah,
life that maybe reminds her of her mother in a certain way, right? Like
right, and
reborn, right?
right, but all that is true because you have to go see that. You see the trailer and you're thinking like, okay, Superman is saving the world, and now you have this girl getting drunk and worrying about her puppy
Yeah,
because it gets trivialized that, oh my god, I have to save Crypto.
yeah,
Because if you don't know the backstory, it just feels like, seriously, we're gonna go
yeah.
watch
You're becoming
Supergirl.
hero for your dog, like a selfish reason, right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
right. So okay, so she has to go save her dog. Whoop de doo, right? Because that is how it's introduced in the trailer. And again, that's a mega fail from marketing because either if you show it all, then show it right, or give people less snippets to deal with, right? So
yeah,
that's just my 2 cents on that.
yeah.
Um,
No,
origin story of Lobo. Yeah, I don't think he was supposed to have one. He was more like to have another comic book character in the movie, and
they touch
like
upon his like who he is. They touch upon it a
yeah.
little bit, but they don't go deep into it. So yeah,
But he did. I mean, he did kind of steal the show. Like, I mean, Jason Momoa is awesome as Lobo, and if this goes forward, I mean, I could see him. I mean, even in Man of Steel, that he might show up or something like.
I
What
hope they
is it? Man
do.
of Steel, Man of Tomorrow? I don't know what's it going to be named.
I hope they do bring him back, because that's the bummer about these when a movie fails. Like sometimes these actors and actresses, they I don't think Jason Momoa necessarily loses his mojo uh, in the industry, but it doesn't bode well for him returning as a character if it
Yeah.
movie is ultimately a failure. But I think
Well,
in
it's
this
also
instance, yeah, I think in this instance, it makes sense to not give up on that and bring him back for a future project. Because again, I thought he was great. He definitely enhanced the movie. Um, and you could make the argument he wasn't really critical to the movie.
oh, not at
Um,
all.
but yeah, I think the dynamic, what they established with Lobo is, uh, first off, his great character. He's a great character, but also this dynamic he has with Supergirl. Like, they both kind of like uh, they they kind of respect each other's power and presence,
Yeah.
but at the same time they're kind of like dissing each other. They don't feel highly for one another, but at the same time they're kind of um uh in a situation where they're trying to get out and helping each other in that. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think we
I
will
think
see more of Lobo.
yeah. It's just like, I mean, if has still an ongoing movie career, he's not impacted. But I think what it is, if the future is unsure, it's hard to like nail it down to say like, hey, you come back XYZ, because he's gonna sign up for other movies, and then if they're unsure what's going to happen, then usually is the schedule that doesn't work out, because he's like to committed to do something else. Like we said, like I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
this was nice little thing, but it doesn't have any impact on his career.
Yeah. They almost would have been better off doing just a Lobo movie. I feel like when you get to a certain point, well, maybe he couldn't command his own movie, maybe, but maybe he should have cameoed in the Superman movie. Um, I don't know. Just feels like a missed opportunity there to do more with Lobo, because I agree with a lot of people. Like, he was just kind of there. It could have been any character, right? He was just kind of there. He wasn't really serving a big purpose in the movie outside of the guy who comes in and helps fight at the end, right? Um, Outside of that, he wasn't really
I
driving
mean,
a lot of
I
the
don't know
narrative.
if it vibes with the show, but I kind of want to see Guy Gardner and Lobo go face to face, like that cover from Justice League Europe, right? It's Justice League Europe, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is League of
So I mean,
Miracle.
he could have a cameo in Lanterns, like season 2 or something like that, going face to face with Guy Gardner. I mean,
Yeah, Lobo could be like, what the heck's going on in this sector? And he just rides into a
uh,
bunch of like Green Lantern Corps. Like, we can hope for that.
doesn't really. I mean, it doesn't really. I don't think that he kind of vibes with the whole
The tone of
true crime,
tone of the movie or
true
the series.
detective kind of vibe of
What'd
Lanterns.
you think
But
of episode 2? You watched it yet last night?
oh yeah, yeah. I was super
Yeah.
tired, but I had to watch episode 2.
How
It's
was it?
amazing.
It was good, huh? Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, the show is just like it's nonstop. You know, you don't. Doesn't get boring. You just wait for the next episode. It's like really cool.
What
Like they
about
brought out the suit.
Sinestro? How was, because he made his first appearance in this series in episode 2. What'd you think of Sinestro?
Uh yeah, it looks cool. I want to see more of him. It was I think the scene wasn't much more than what they had already spoiled in the one of the trailers. There was more to it than what actually was in the show. Um it was cool that they, the actual lantern shows up, and the, because he had to recharge it, and uh he has to say his line, brightest day, darkest night, etc. The suit, like the whole thing is just like, it's just way cool. It's just it keeps going now. Now was the
Well, you
first
know what
mention
I've
of the
noticed.
Manhunters. So
The suit now, Hal's suit, is this design in Parallax, in the
mm,
Parallax series. I think they kept the pretty much that suit design. Like, there's not too much wiggle room. Hal's doesn't have the mask. That's the only thing that looks a lot like the Parallax suit, you know. So they're giving you. I think that's kind of like, it's at this point, it's a no brainer. Hal's gonna uh, turn bad. I think that's pretty evident. At least not turn bad, but he's gonna side with Sinestro, who's ultimately bad, right? So you don't know. I guess people who are just tuning in, you don't know who the baddie is yet, but I think all
yeah.
indications are like Hal's gonna turn bad, basically. Uh,
Well, it's kind of like yesterday. The first time it kind of like turns into like a who done it kind of thing, because they brought up the Manhunter,
yeah,
and it could be anybody. So all of a sudden, it's like, oh, who has been on the show? Like, who could it be, right? There was even like, I saw like polls online and stuff like that. Who do you think it is? Like, vote for XYZ, right? So that brings back more of that, like of that show where it says like a true detective meets
yeah,
lanterns, right? And they're gonna keep going with that. They didn't have a time jump on this one, how they did in the first episode. So But yeah, I mean it's entertaining from the beginning till end. So yeah, I can't wait for more episodes.
Yeah. And this is going to take us right into Man of Tomorrow. So, pretty much, that initial trailer. This is what's brilliant about uh, the marketing of this particular series is the trailer. Everything given away in the trailer, outside of maybe one or two scenes, introduced in the first two episodes. So your whole concept of this series over what 10 episodes, was it like 10 or 12 episodes they have? No, is it more? It's like
No,
12,
I think
right?
something like that. Yeah, I think they have it same as like since they kept on saying True Detective, which is like
Yeah,
8 to 12 max, because that's kind of like the HBO style, like they did on
yeah,
Game of Thrones and stuff like that. I
yeah.
would say probably 8 to 10, not 12. I don't know. I have to double
maybe
check, but
maybe 10.
somewhere
Let's
there.
just put it like in between, like 10 episodes. um it's brilliant, right? Because now you don't know what's coming from the
Mm,
trailers. Now you're getting a setup of the following week with the trailer at the end of the episode. So they're
yeah,
going to do the episode, then you get the teaser for next week, and that's the cadence. You're not going to get any of. So this whole trailer that brought people into the whole series. What's going on? Um, what's going on? What? You're hungry? You just want some pet time, huh? All right, we'll give you some pet time after this. Um, the whole yeah, the what drew you in to watch this is literally clips. They put the trailer together with clips from the first two episodes. How brilliant is that? It's like, it's so they're not giving you anything outside of like the actual murder or the mystery or the
yeah.
crime, the crime mystery that's happening in this series. They're not giving you anything outside of that. It's like everything in the whole season trailer, the that set up the expectations for you. That was just like stuff from the first two episodes.
Yeah.
And that's
And
cool.
there's
That's
and there's
cool.
still enough to keep you interested, and that's the brilliance of it, because sometimes you have these trailers from even from movies or something like that, and they're literally the trailer is the best thing out of the movie, and the movie had nothing else to give. But the show, yeah, he's like, oh, I saw this in the trailer, but there's so much more
There's
that
so
just
much
keeps
more.
you
Yeah.
captivated.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it.
And I love how these things are like the bird construct, like how that's turning into its own thing. That this is the what separates John from, or what makes him unique as a lantern, right? Like he has a different mindset. Um and But also, uh again, I think the the casting of Hal Jordan in this one is the uh ultimately what makes this show.
Mm,
Hal Chandler. Um it just strikes me as like this is the kind of guy you would expect. He's not really a hero, but he is, in because like deep down he is like good, and
yeah.
he's very good at being a Green Lantern, and he kind of has his own like way about it. Like you can't fault him for like bringing his style
He
to the power of the Green Lantern, right?
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
He's
I
kind of
just
a
it
jerk,
just
and but he's a likable jerk, which is really
he's a
funny.
likable jerk. We like the
There's a
likable jerks, right?
he wanted to test the theory. That was so hilarious. Like, um, he wanted to test the theory, so he went and stole the dead bodies from the morgue and put them in his rental car, right? And and that cop lady that kind of had it in for him, she like pulls him over, and he's just like 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 he's getting pulled over for like a traffic stop, and he has like the dead bodies not lying there. He set him up on his on the
I saw
co-pilot
that.
seat
Yeah.
and in the back and stuff like that. It's just like yeah, the comedy elements of it is just like really really funny. Love that show.
And they're staying true to the lore, which makes guys like you and me happy, right? It's like the comic book people are happy. And that's the thing. Like, I think when you, and this is why I'm saying, like, first off, people who don't know the characters, people who don't know the lore, people who just kind of like watching for the first time, whether it's Supergirl, whether it's Green Lantern, they will just consume anything if it's entertaining them, if it's making them laugh, if it's getting their heart rate up or whatever. If it's doing that, it doesn't matter whether they have a good sense of the character or not. Like they'll buy into it. Now that's a hard sell sometimes because
Mm.
you have to make it good for them to buy into it. The harder sell though, and these are the people that are gonna really be vocal online and talk it up and share it and promote it, like it, and like just be there at every step of the way, right? From the first tease to the final, episode and, teaser trailer into the movie or whatever. And that those are people like us who like are vested in this thing, right? Like we are really the people who like care about the character, understand the character to a better degree than most. Um, and yeah, want to see it succeed. So I think when you target the true comic book, that nucleus of people who go and support comic book movies, right? People who collect comic books. If you are truly giving them what they want, the rest will follow. You know what I mean? It's like if you ostracize like the true fans, then you don't really have legs to stand on. And I just wish these movie execs would understand that and get
Yeah.
comic book people, not comic book writers. Comic book writers are not comic book people, but get comic book people into the room. I should take that back. Comic book screenwriters are not the people you want in the room. You want people like Tom King. You want people like Mark Wade. You want people who like actually
Yeah.
understand the characters to the nth degree. You
But
don't want people like Ann Noguera, who's a scriptwriter, who's a Hollywood screenwriter.
yeah.
She probably, and she didn't even read the freaking comic book until, or the director didn't read the comic book. Ann Noguera read the comic book when she got hired. But like those are telltale signs. Like you're gonna have
But
you're not standing on good foundation there.
what's so cool about Lantern is because it's like this true crime training day esque show, this buddy cop show, and then you sprinkle in the the ring, the aliens and stuff like that. It's done brilliantly because it plays to the fans, the DC fans and stuff like that. But you could also, as a non-comic book person, that's like, okay, I'm not gonna watch Avengers and stuff like that. But you could sit there one day, watch a cop show that you think, and there's like other weird stuff happening, right? And it could suck you in because that's the beauty of the show, the way it's written. It could totally transcend into or beyond the viewers of just like the comic book fans or the people that like fantasy or superheroes and stuff like that. Because the way the show works, it works on several levels, right? It's kind
Yeah.
of like it's kind of like Game of Thrones. Like there's the cool dragons, but I'm not into dragons. But there's the other cool like middle age stuff. Back in the day, the fighting and all the cool actions and the naked ladies and all that kind of stuff, right? And it kind of draws you in, even if you're maybe not a fantasy fan, right? And that's kind of what I feel about Lanterns. Is like it's this cop show that has, you know, like a space cop esque stuff to it. That's why I think this could be really, really popular, among all kinds of viewership.
And the what they're building toward, it sounds like they're building toward the lore, and again, they're building around the lore in the comic books, and that this will expand to not just the Green Lantern Corps, which is all we have right now in this particular timeline and point in the universe, but the emergence of other Lantern Corps, right?
Yeah, Red
And
Lantern.
yeah, and that's really epic stuff, because like that's, if you're heading toward Blackest Night, right? You obviously need to build out the fact that you have these like lanterns that go out and seek this emotional people who excel in this emotional spectrum, right? And Kara is also one of those. Like Kara Zor-El, Supergirl in the comics, she has blue lantern energy, apparently, like Supergirl, which is like Blue Lantern's like the emotion spectrum of hope,
Okay.
right? So people who like symbolize hope, or like bring hope to the masses or whatever through their actions and whatnot. That's who the Blue Lantern or the Blue Ring targets. And so, like, yeah, apparently Kara got targeted, and like now she's like super strong and vulnerable, and can do stuff with her mind now, which makes that, like, like even that little tertiary character story point, the fact that we may see that at some point, all the prospects of this lore, that's exciting. Like we're kind of in the backdrop, like, okay, Sinestro, Yellow Lantern Corps, what's next? It's like that seems to be like season 2, maybe the tail end of season 1, but season 2, you got this whole space galactic war brewing.
They
And
have a
that's
lot of
pretty cool.
good material, to work with, and if they play it right in that same build up, I mean,
Yeah.
this show could go on for quite a bit, right? And that's why I'm
Yeah.
kind of hoping a little bit more on DC, because I mean, said it before, Marvel is always like, oh, we have this great concept, but you get one season and then F you, right? If you want more. DC has been better about this when they build something out. There's like, we have season 1, 2, 3, whatever. We keep it going.
Yeah.
While Marvel has not done that, right? I mean, it's like everything has been cut off after season 1, even no matter how much the fans want more. And that's where I'm kind of really hope this keeps going.
All right, so everybody's enjoying Lanterns, hopefully, and watching it and supporting it. That's good. Apparently, it's the reviews and the ratings for Lanterns is off the chain right now. So that's bodes well for James Gunn, as we kind of get a slate of movies coming up here. Clayface is coming up. Man of Tomorrow is coming up. And then they've announced a whole slew of projects. One, namely, being the I think not enough people are talking about it, is the return of Constantine. That's been greenlit. So Keanu Reeves is coming back as John Constantine, and I don't think enough more. I don't think there's been enough mention of this.
No,
it's been kind of just in the background as news, but they haven't really promoted it at all yet. No one's really talking about it. No one's excited about it. I think partly because it's still preliminary. It's like they've announced it, but they announce a lot of things and they tend to get canceled sometimes. But in this sense, it's a real. I mean, this is really coming back. What are your thoughts there?
I love it. Actually, I loved the first movie. I thought it was great. It's kind of on it. It kind of stands. It kind of stood on its own. Kind of away from the comic book universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really attached to it like you see in the comics, but I thought it was great,
Yeah.
and I'm excited for it to come back and then kind of like do into this universe because first Constantine was in Swamp Thing, so I mean there's some hope we'll get maybe some Swampy going on, and yeah, I think that'd be really cool. I'll watch that. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think Swamp Thing makes a lot of sense. Like the, the the way James Gunn is approaching the DCU, he's not wanting to do like your standard, like obviously he's going to do Justice League, he's going to do all the standard fare superheroes, but he was also wanting to do something a little different that highlights really a lot of the great uh, you know content that DC's had the fortune of putting out over the years, and I really hope they don't lose sight of that. Like you want to do a representate, like get as deep and broad into DC as you can. Like
Mm,
you can't bring every character, but you can kind of go deep and broad and keep them in their silos until they're ready to like play together. And I feel like that's what Gunn is doing with like Clayface. He's building this siloed thing. It's connected to the Batman universe. He's doing John Constantine, loosely connected to all the, you know, uh, the demon and uh, the horror, the monster elements there in
yeah,
DC. And then I think they're also doing like Sergeant Rock, right? Didn't they announce Sergeant Rock? So Sergeant Rock's doing the whole
yeah.
military, kind of like
What's his
World War
name?
II
I
hero.
told you who's Sergeant Rock, right? Isn't it the guy that played Bullseye in the Daredevil? What's his
Was
name?
it?
Ah, I forgot his name, but
He's playing Sergeant Rock.
I believe he's Sergeant Rock. Yeah,
That's interesting. Okay.
I'm drawing a blank. What his name is? Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of these movies. Like Clayface does not, it's not connected to any of the Batman stuff, but definitely setting it up where he could be there uh, um, in the next movie
Yeah. Yeah.
because maybe he even is because I mean they pushed that next that Patterson Batman movie out to like 2028 or something like that. It's like way out there.
Yeah. Yeah. That one. Uh, I that the delay of that movie gives me a few additional theories. I think we'll see Batman in James Gunn. I think we'll see him very soon. I think we're going to see him make a cameo somewhere. I mean, they're already teasing him in this Lantern series, right? So, um, what's up,
Hey Marcel,
Wasteoid?
Wasteoid. Yeah, Marcel, how's it going, man?
Wasteoid. Oh, is that Marcel? Hey, what's up,
That's Marcel
Marcel?
on the other side of the world. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Drive careful.
Hope you're getting a good start to your day, man. Thanks for, I guess we're keeping you company on the way to work. Um, but yeah, Lanterns couldn't have, I think, been. It was just brilliant. I think again, a lot of things came together here, but I think that writing team. Again, I'm watching
Yeah,
the podcast where some of the writers and the directors and stuff come on talk about the episodes, and that's kind of my link because they spoil everything there and they kind of cover what's going on. So I'm kind of getting it without really watching it, but yeah, uh, that writers room, that production room where they're having the good conversations around like what who are these characters, what motivates them, and how do we put them in the most compelling lore building kind of scenarios.
hmm,
And when you have that kind of thoughtfulness in a project, which I think that's what Supergirl lacked, to be honest. I think
yeah,
Supergirl lacked that thoughtful, like people who truly understand the character. You just had some people who have had success in that kind of genre, kind of pooled together, and like, you guys are going to make something great because you're great creators, but without the that intimate knowledge of who the character is and like her backstory and the
Yeah.
lore. You just kind of get you kind of get what you got this
Yeah.
summer. Yeah.
I said it to you like offline, because what baffles me is, though, if you have Tom King on payroll, he is there having meetings with James Gunn, like, because he was talking about it. You have the writer of Woman of Tomorrow next to you, literally. You cannot go and say like, "Hey, I have the script based on your book. Can you give it a read or something like that?" I understand you're busy and stuff like that, but it's a part of him. Like, I mean, he wrote such a great novel, right? A great graphic novel for Supergirl, and it feels like a failed opportunity to say like, "Hey, this is what we got. What's your point? Hey, you should do this differently." Or even, earlier we talked about like probably like a failure in marketing or something like that. What should we focus on or something like that. Um, Somewhere there, somebody dropped the ball, and it just kind of, you know, yeah, just it just isn't right,
It
and
didn't
then
come together. Yeah. Didn't come
yeah,
together.
and now then Supergirl had to pay the price for it. Even though it's a we said it time and time again, it's a good movie. Better, it's better than people give it credit. So, um,
There's an argument. I mean, you could make this argument, I guess. I don't agree with the argument, but you could make the argument that the way Supergirl's set up in the comics, right?
mhm,
Um, she was introduced in the comics as this very young cousin to Superman,
mhm,
and the reason for that, uh, back in the '60s, was you had a lot of boys reading the comic, and now you have this like, this like really attractive, vivacious superhero in her own right. Um, so she kind of adds this sort of like female character that you can kind of, who's just secondary to Superman. She's not replacing Superman. She's not her own like superhero, but she's complementing him, right? She's a supporting role in all of this,
yeah,
and is you could almost make the argument, is that all that she can ever be? Like, maybe that's the thing, like, people don't want Supergirl to be the protagonist of her own, because you've got Superman. Why do you need Supergirl? Like, you could kind of like say that, right? Like, well, there's a guy version and now there's a girl version. Why do you have to have two of them? Kind of, what's their
yeah,
what is the added draw of a Supergirl when you have Superman, right? And for people who, like, again, understand Supergirl, have read the comics, and understand she's a character in her own right, and very different from uh Kal-El, right? She's her own, has her own way of, in the comics they make her actually, a smarter, more efficient version of Superman. She's actually like better at uh doing the superhero thing than her
mhm,
cousin. Um and I just wish, like, because we've had all these failed Supergirl I mean, I shouldn't say failed, but like the Helen Slater movie was just that was horribly written, first off. Uh the production, they took every shortcut uh that you could take for a spin-off of the successful Superman movies. So that was doomed to fail, right? And then you have the television series Smallville. She makes one appearance in Smallville again as a supporting role, not really doing her own thing. That didn't do well. You had the Supergirl series that did well. That went on for multiple seasons,
Yeah,
but it
five
was
or
a
six
rom
seasons.
com. It was a rom com, right? So it was kind of like
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it's a rom com. It it did very well. It was a good. It was true to the character. It's a good show. Um, I mean, there were some. I think you had the same kind of stuff that's happening to to the Supergirl movie is like that kind of like the attack from the Manosphere. I think there was always attack on that's like the promotion of feminism or whatever, right? Because there was always like a um yeah, she's the female badass, and then her sister is there, and then there's female antagonists and stuff like that. Or even there, like Superman shows up, but he's saying like, "Hey, you got this. You're even stronger than me," and all this kind of stuff. Like for a lot of people that just didn't sit well. So even though and some people say now like, oh, you should have Melissa Benoit. I'm gonna say Benoit. I don't know if it's Benoist or whatever, but to me, when I see it written,
Benoit.
I
Yeah,
think it's Benoit. Um, that would have been better or something like that. But it's the same people that attack the show for similar reason of I don't know, that they just don't want a female empowered character or something like that. Not sure if Wonder Woman ever had the same issues. The Wonder Woman movie, the show back in the 70s, 80s. I don't know. Might have been different, but it just feels like that there's like that hate for when there is a strong female protagonist. That there's like a hate for it for some reason, and I think Supergirl movie got the brunt of it, which is completely unfair.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. It's a difficult. I think Supergirl's a tough nut to crack to get right. Um,
Yeah,
and yeah, I think it stems from a lot of factors. But there's a lot of factors that went into why the movie failed. There's not
yeah.
any one thing, but it's just a combination of stuff. So
But
anyway, she's coming in Man of Tomorrow, and hopefully enough people watch the digital release to start caring about the
yeah.
character again. Because I hope they do bring her back.
And Superman kind of had like similar fate. I mean, for the character being the longest running superhero, um, it, there haven't been a lot of really successful movies for this character. I think Batman has established himself more so than Superman. So I mean,
Oh yeah, the
the last movie,
Superman hate was real.
yeah,
Like people really hated Superman, and it's again people who don't understand the character are hating on him for being like what good. Oh, he's too good. He's too powerful. All this, like again,
yeah,
and then you can't. That's the thing. Like if people are hating on Superman, what shot does Supergirl have? She's
yeah,
basically the female version of Superman. So what if they're hating on the guy who's like has the cool he comes as a baby, he's adopted and he's raised as a Kansan and he goes to Metropolis, becomes a reporter, has a cool reporter kind of like, you know, alias to hide behind to do the Superman stuff. Like that's all cool. That's cool, but there are a bunch of people who hate that. They're like that's boring. And then
mm,
now you bring in Supergirl into this cauldron of like indifference towards Superman. Now
yeah.
you basically create another indifference burger with a female character. So yeah, I think um anyway, uh we're just hoping for good things from here on out for DC, because I don't want to see I want to see more things like Lanterns. I want to see more things like Batman, Wonder Woman, Justice League. We want to see all of that. And if it
Yeah,
gets right now, it's a very kind of precarious situation that James Gunn is in, because there's this merger happening. There's all this expectation around the success of Superman, and when
yeah,
you have the second follow-up movie just bomb like this, it puts into question, like, okay, what are you guys now we need to pass everything by the execs. The execs are going to be, maybe the
yeah,
execs are the executive decisions are what ruin Supergirl. Maybe Supergirl is potentially going to be something really fantastic, and then you had too many suits and ties being like, no, this has to be this. Like, you got to have more of the crypto in there. Why don't we put more crypto in there or something? Like, just like, we got to have the Milk-Bone dog biscuits in the movie. That's like, you have to show that. You got,
but
when you have too many people in the room not
yeah.
saying things that need to do to make the movie good and the character lovable, then you got a real problem on your hands.
Did I mean they did it last time too? Like with the Snyderverse is like, the push to do the Justice League was way too soon, way too soon. But it's like you have the
The dark
upper
side in it.
echelon. They're like, hey, this Avengers movies is doing gangbusters. We need to do the Justice League now, right? We need to make the same amount of money, but not counting how long Marvel set that whole thing in motion until it finally came together.
Yeah.
And you kind of want to just, there were even characters in Justice League that never even never got their own movie. Flash did, but drawing a blank. What's this?
Cyborg.
Cyborg. Thank you. Cyborg movie never came to be. So
Yeah.
all that should have happened on its own, and then naturally come to the Justice League, and it would have probably been better then too. But
yeah.
And if they rush it again, they're gonna have the same results. It's just gonna be sloppy, and fans are not gonna like it.
I agree. Seeing Lanterns, I worry they haven't absorbed the idea that dark and grim isn't what all the audience wants. That was a decent show, judging by. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, true, but it works for this. It's not gonna work for everything, but as we've been talking about it, I think it really works for this concept of lanterns and trying to introduce it. But yeah, you can make the entire universe like dark and grim. That's
Yeah.
not going to attract everyone. That is true.
Yeah. I think what probably would have made Supergirl a little bit more palatable to everybody is if it was kind of grounded in like who she, like her journey, because it was more like her journey with Ruthie, right? Rather than it being like Kara's like soul, like she was helping out somebody in need, kind of thing. Which is that's noble and admirable in its own right. The fact that she's helping out this little girl, and kind of reluctantly, right, in this sermon, but she's doing something heroic, and then toward the end she really takes on that mantle, like, okay, I'm here, I have a purpose, I need to start fulfilling my potential, right? Just living up to my God-given potential and gifts.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what would have helped Supergirl is for it to have been more like Woman of Tomorrow. I agree with you. Like, to have taken more of the comic book elements, kind of that fantasy, like, gallivanting throughout the galaxy to different worlds and stuff, and kind of they're on the lookout for this bad guy, but they're encountering different characters, different scenarios, and they're you get a sense of like you see Ruthie understand like, oh, here's what a real hero is like, and kind of like just glorifying Supergirl, because that's what the comic book is, right? It's just this like celebration of Supergirl, and then they're also introducing the fact that like she's a broken person, a damaged person,
Yeah.
uh, but she overcomes that, right? Like she
Yeah.
that's not who she is. She overcomes it and understands like I can't be like this. I have to be better, right?
Yeah, but
Uh,
in the book, she is she's teaching Ruth the lesson, and the lesson kind of starts from the get go. And again, we weren't there yet. You know, she helps her, like you said it. She reluctantly helps her because okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna help her because I don't want nothing to happen to this girl. And along while helping her, she's becoming herself, right? And in the book, it's like she knew who she was. She was always Supergirl, and then and the whole story is meant to show Ruthie the path where she's supposed to go.
her
And
saving the girl mentally, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, saving the girl, saving who she is and who she can become, and she sees it through till the end, right? And that wasn't it, and that was never going to be it, like because she needed to be, it needed to be the, this is, you know, this is why Supergirl, that's her background, we talked about it, it's kind of dark and it's heavy and stuff like that. And this kind of story is like where she finds herself, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
and then she becomes the hero.
yeah.
But that wasn't, again, the expectations weren't set right with the audience, I believe, you know, with that whole um hey, we're gonna take Woman of Tomorrow and we're gonna make a movie out of it, right? And that's the expectation was just not set correctly.
The
And then
promise was not kept.
yeah, the promises weren't kept.
The promises weren't kept. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. Even the like you mentioned, just those subtle differences. It's essentially the same story, but then it's not because you're that point of view, right? That and who's developing on this story arc, who's growing.
Yeah.
It is about in the movie. It is about more about Kara coming into her superhero, and I like that about the film. That's what I felt like maybe the whole comic book comparison was unfair because I feel like
Yeah.
what the movie became was actually in its own right had merit, but it lacked, I think, the marketability
Yeah. I mean, that's what they
for
even,
that comic book audience. You know what I mean?
right. I mean, that's when, if you look at the book, the baddie, whatever his name was, he's super vanilla. I mean, he looks like some grass drinking everyday Joe Bo from the block, right? And because it wasn't about him, it wasn't about him. And then okay, so they made it a little bit more marketable, like to went the Mad Max route with the other guy. But again, he was also just a throwaway villain because it wasn't about him. But
Yeah,
yeah, so they just went a little bit Hollywood on that, just to make
they
him
did.
look uh, uh, a little
Mad
bit more
Maxy.
evil and stuff like that. Yeah, a little bit more Mad Maxy. But
Yeah, they had movie people doing Supergirl instead of comic book people, and then I feel like that. I hope the Lantern success shows you that you need people like Tom King in the room,
yeah,
make creating the ideas, not the creator of Ozarks, not the director of like Friday Night Lights or some whatever hit TV show there is. You don't need those people pitching a comic book movie. They let them do what they do well, which is just like create compelling television. Uh, but don't ask them to reinvent or bring a beloved character with
yeah.
almost 50 years of more than 50 years of history. Well, we're talking 60 years of history, right? Supergirl, Kara, 60 years of history that you're assigning to some screenwriter who's never done a comic book movie. Like, what
Yeah.
are just that
I mean,
whole concept there is just off. There's just something off about that.
at least if the script writer has a passion for the comic books, because if you listen to the podcast for Lanterns, is those two, the guy that did True Detective and the other guy that did Ozark or something like that. They all had a connection to Green Lantern. Like it was something that they grew up with,
Oh
something
yeah,
that
they
they
read
could
Jeff
connect to.
Johns. They read the comic books. That
Yeah,
tells you everything.
and they
They
didn't read
read
it
Jeff
because they
Johns.
wanted to sit in
Yeah,
that room. They read it like when they were long time ago, and so it's something that resonates with them. So if you have somebody that you just like, hey, read this, and then come make me a little script for it, that doesn't work because
doesn't
it's
work. Doesn't
missing the
work.
soul.
It doesn't, and you can have all the conversations in the world to educate you on like what kind of yeah,
Yeah,
right. Like you can talk to Tom King, you can talk to James Gunn, you can talk to all the people in the world, but when you get down to writing it, there's something disingenuous about like having it told to you versus like reading it and having some kind of personal connection to it. Like,
right.
you know what I mean? Like that's the important thing. Like you have to care. You have to care enough about like if you can't even read a freaking comic book to connect with something and you have to be told everything and maybe watch a movie or I don't know, maybe she watched uh Melissa Benoit to get into the the mindset for the character act, which might have been a good or bad thing, but for whatever reasons, it just didn't work. And so
Yeah,
we're for making things work moving forward. So just get comic book people in the room, please. That
yeah,
should be just a no brainer. No brainer. Give them some power, put them in the room, and then listen to them.
yeah.
All right. Well, are you gonna show off books from? You kind of showed everything off, didn't you?
Yeah, there's a couple more. I'll keep them for my video because
All right.
I still need to edit that up. It's I don't want to overhype it because we already said it. We didn't pick up that much, so there isn't gonna be a grail to be had. So, but I'll post my video either probably not tonight. It's already kind of late, so I'll post it tomorrow
Yeah.
because I'm not done editing it.
Okay.
At least you get a experience of what the convention was like because I have enough footage of that. Um, just trimming it down so it's a little bit more palpable, and yeah, and then
Okay.
just see what we have out of that.
Yeah. I mean, I went over my haul last night, but
You'll
I'll
show it
just
again.
go over uh, briefly what I picked up. I picked up a little bit more than this. These are just sort of the ones worth kind of showing
Mentioning.
off. They're just some books I kind of that Lois Lane book with all the coloring and drawing on it. That was a little disappointing, but
Sorry,
yeah, let me share my screen here real quick.
I'm trying to make you bigger. It's not working.
All right, let's see if this works.
Okay. Here at the stage. There we go.
There we go. So yeah, this was just one of the books we got for like $3 as part of like a bundle. Again, we picked up 5 books for $75. Um, Canadian. This is one of those books. Uh, just a fun 20-cent Lois Lane here. Really cute cover there. This one is another. I actually, I'm glad I picked this one up too, and I cleaned this one up, so it looks a lot better than previous, because previous had kind of a lot of dirt. Um, it was kind of dingy looking, but we did some eraser time on it and really cleaned up a lot of the dirt on this bright color, and now it kind of just it's looks a lot cleaner now. So definitely happy with the results of that. It's kind of in the shade right now, so you can't really see it, but in the light, it does kind of pop. Especially like this, like notice how white that is. That used to be like kind of
Mm.
brown and dirty, and I just got like all this stuff out. Lana looks fantastic. Even Superman's this area here is much cleaner. So back looks great as well. Clean the back. So
Nice.
this one's turning into like a pretty good pickup uh, for what it is. So really glad about that. This one I cleaned and I actually uh, kind of took out a little back corner here. It was a corner that was like bent, and I was
Hmm.
erasing along the edge, and it just took off the triangle there, the corner, and I was like, it was a bummer because I was telling myself to go like slow and do all that, but then I didn't listen to myself, and it just took out the corner. But I was able to glue it back on,
Okay.
and it's attached again, but it had to get I had to glue it on.
It's easy if you're trying to clean it up and the paper is brittle.
Yeah,
I mean those books are 60 years,
yeah,
70 years old, you know. I mean the paper has been through a lot.
yeah. But not a big deal. I mean, it was again, it was on the back cover, so it's still the front looks really fantastic. And again, I cleaned this one up as well, so it's
Nice.
uh, definitely a little bit cleaner than before. Definitely more vibrant in these white areas. I'm sure you can kind of tell that they look kind of wider than um, previous.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's that. Um, this is another really cool pickup. This Neil Adams. We also picked up this first Nova for $9. That was a cool key to have picked up. Again, this Neil Adams Green Arrow cover with Batman. That's just a
Very cool.
cool
Yeah.
Brave and the Bold Neil Adams cover there. Um,
Good night, Damien.
Good night, Damien. And then this one was the real. This is the one that was on the want list for a while, and condition is really nice. Put it at like a good 3.35, maybe 3.0, 3.5, somewhere around there. Um,
Yeah, it was a nice cover.
yeah. Uh, yeah, it's it's so I love this book so much, man. It's just brings joy to my heart.
That's
Just like
that's what
this
it's all about.
baby being jealous. Just great.
It
And then
really
of
is.
course, yeah. Um, no words are needed for that. You got Dark Side, Jim Lee signature
Yeah.
there. That was a cool pickup as well. So yeah, overall, kind of looking over what we picked up, I gotta say it wasn't. Um, we kind of came back disappointed, but all in all, we still have some pretty great pickups, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, it wasn't nothing to sneeze at here. It's good
No,
stuff
for sure.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. It just means we have to keep hunting.
Yeah. That's the well, I gotta sell some books now for sure. Um, but hopefully we'll be hunting again real soon. I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, me too. I kind of like, instead of just adding more stuff, I need to continue working through my books and get more stuff out to CGC. And yeah, but I do need to then also start selling some slabs, because I have a box here. I have to stop on the wall, and actually my box is full. There is behind me right there. I had to double layer two of them just because I ran out of space, and so I definitely have to at least sell 2 to 5 slabs. Also, just kind of like to get the get the money rolling into the next submission and stuff like that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, also, yeah, some selling. Have some more games I probably need to part with, and just put that into the same pile for more grading stuff. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. All
That's
in all, it
stuff.
wasn't
Mhm.
all bad.
Yeah, I think we've hit a nice little. Again, we're coming off the summer Supergirl, and we had this flurry of activity, right? Like you and I were pretty much just out. I want to say we're out most weekends this year.
Every
It
Saturday,
was
yeah.
it's kind of crazy to think about. But I think, yeah, now that the summer's over, I'm sure there'll be a few opportunities where we go out, and I do want to go to Grid City with you,
Hmm.
which is I think in October or November. So we'll see what we have for that. But I think, yeah, just winding down the year, probably just going to be more, you know, enjoying the collection, maybe trying to sell some stuff, but not being too active. I
Yeah,
do want to move a lot of this, what we're trying to sell at FenCom earlier. I do want to move this, and I think what we need to do is like either create some trade circles or trade opportunities here. Maybe reach out to some people in the community and be like, "Hey, time to get your books together. Time to get like a
yeah.
trade going," and see if that kickstarts anything. But yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I need to do the same. Yeah, let's. And I'm gonna have to. It's already past 10. I'm gonna have to
oh
get
yeah,
ready
let's get off.
for tomorrow.
All right, well, it was fun hanging out with everybody. Thanks
Yeah,
for
thanks for joining.
tuning in, and we'll see you back in the next one.
Yeah, we'll have our next, probably we'll do our hopefully our Friday one on your channel then. Yeah, have a good night, everyone. Marcel, if you're still listening, have a great day at work, and we'll see you guys soon.
Peace.
Bye.